And we have a quorum here, so let's call the March 13th meeting to order at 1 o'clock. And the item of business is the approval of the minutes from the February 6th meeting. Does anyone have any questions, comments, additions?
I have a really nitpicky one on page 3 at the top in the first line. It says Hannah as opposed to Withert. Just for continuity's sake. But thank you for spelling my name right. Appreciate that.
And I don't know how nitpicky, I mean, I noticed a typo somewhere and now I never circled it because I was reading it online. Somewhere in the first paragraph. But I didn't find anything inaccurate in terms of what was said and or the intent of what was said.
Okay.
Yeah, they look good to me. I make a motion to approve the minutes from the February 6th meeting
As amended.
as amended.
I
Yeah.
second.
Second, all right, all those in favor of accepting the minutes as amended? Aye. Okay. And then the second order of business is doing the fiscal 23-24 application packet. And I trust everyone's had a chance to go through these.
My question was, are there any changes in the packet or what we're asking the applicants to provide from the previous year? It looked the same to me.
It's the same. We haven't chatted about it.
Okay.
We want to make these changes. So as of right now, it's the same as before. So if you'd like to make any revisions. Applicants.
So portions of these. And I guess it switches to the guideline document. That's what it was. One was revised in 2013 and the other one shows a March 16th, 22 revision. Must have been the last revision, which is the actual,
That's the actual.
application request or invitation. So two different documents.
It seems like when we are doing the interviews, we have a lot of questions around budget. And that budgets, I don't know, it seems like budgets have been a little fuzzy or not broken out enough. Seems like that's the question
Depends on the
on the applicant,
asking.
on the applicant.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's something you can do to kind of give us more detail in their budget. Or if we're just comfortable with it and with what they provide, because it says a line item budget for proposal or for proposed project.
I mean, we get that from Poster. Poster's good, Sayer's good. Tracy's usually good. It was usually comedy. Well, how do they,
Bucks, how are they?
I know.
I can't remember how her budget was either. Seems like it was pretty broken out.
Yeah, that's what I read.
I don't remember having questions about her budget other than how many people you think you're gonna get.
I remember she was very specific about the people she's bringing in and the cost. to
Yeah, yeah,
that,
yeah,
And then some of the breakout sessions and what
Okay,
entailed.
yeah. We've had an issue with some of them, but I don't remember.
so it's not a issue that we're facing on a regular basis with them.
Well, and when we did face it, we questioned.
Yeah.
Do we feel like the lack of budget or the way it's presented? Because everyone's kind of looks different. I mean, doesn't really matter to me, but I'm kind of like, has there ever been like a standardized? I don't know. It's just kind of hard to compare apples to apples sometimes going through it.
Can't speak to ever has.
Yeah.
Standardized, but.
And I don't know if that,
I've been in the committee.
okay. I don't know. It was almost like if we provide fill in the blanks with line items, then they're almost kind of held to putting that in there,
A
but
lot of grants do offer that that have like kind of a worksheet.
Yeah.
Fill in stuff. So that might be a good way to cover some of concerns.
I'm not as savvy in my spreadsheets these days to know if that,
The only thing that would concern me about, so I'm thinking
Yeah.
about locks with regard to that. I mean, I think that's an interesting idea. But I really liked that she had that stuff all broken out into her, what her breakouts were and everything. So
Oh,
you
yeah.
could say, well, Mike Morgan, I think, said, why are you flying in this person from Vegas? Why can't we use somebody local? It's like, yeah, like somebody local is going to be some big makeup artist. And it's like, well, so that was broken out as a separate thing. And I'm not sure something like that would be in a standardized budget, but it's not a bad, I mean, it's not a bad idea maybe to provide that and then say, if there's other detail you want us to have, feel free to include it. I don't know, because not everything's going to appeal, not everything's going to
Apply
apply to every.
exactly. I don't know. I just,
some sort of budget template.
that's kind of what I was thinking.
That would make it a little easier to compare apples to apples for sure,
And then use this template or, provide.
or provide your own. You could do that.
Yeah, but maybe it
Cottage.
seems like some of them were like a little thrown together with a few. I mean, I know some are gonna have way more line items than others, but it might, coax more information out or be like, oh, they're more serious about getting, I mean, I don't know. That was just a thought that I had because being new to it, I was kind of going here, this amount is here. Because I was playing percentage games in my brain as justification.
I think that the applicants that don't provide the robust budget
Yeah.
detail do that at their own peril, right?
Yes,
Because the less visibility we have into the numbers, the more concern and questions we have about.
true,
All right.
true.
So
Yeah,
I don't know if we provide them with a template or if we just ask them,
asking.
give us a detailed line item budget
And see what they come up with. Yeah.
see what they come up with.
Okay,
I don't know.
yeah, I don't,
So the first time you mentioned template, which I like, I'm like,
Yeah.
what would that look like? The first thing my head bounced to was the general guidelines on the guidelines for the TAP fund, where it talks about, TAP resources may be limited to, but not limited to personnel, special event. Like creating criteria, like what is your spend or your budget fall into those? You might not know them right now, you might not know the details or specifically what that's for, but is that personnel? Is that physical stuff? Is that, what are the other ones? Promotional? Is that, advertising or promotion? So anyway, that's what came to mind when you said of some sort to kind of guide. This is what we're looking for.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if seems like we're kind of. Well, I mean, as different uses for funds are approaching, that need maybe a little less as far as. I don't know. I mean, if we're talking about the school stuff and maybe there aren't as many applicants or whatnot. I don't know. I go back and forth on, like, it could be really cool or it could be a waste of time. I mean, as far as the template goes, I don't.
Can I throw in an option?
Yeah,
In community grants, the Parks Committee actually, we give them their copies of the applications. They actually meet at one of their meetings and discuss what they want from that person before the interview process. So they say, hey, is there anything else you want? Do we have any questions you want them to answer? And then so the committee as a group decides what they want to ask them. And then when we schedule the interviews, we say, also during your interview, these are the things you need to address. So it would be an extra meeting, but if you did that, you can say, hey, as a group, we don't like this budget. We need more detail. I mean, it's an option.
okay.
Some of it might depend on if you have new applicants. If
Yeah.
it's like Cottage Tour Saver, the the CBAA, if it's just the same people again, it's like they kind of should already know what we want because they've all been through it before.
Yeah.
That could be like, we have your packets ready. You give you guys a few days to look at them and then, or actually if it's all the same people that you've already had before, you know, you can opt not to do it.
Right.
But if there are new people, or you guys would just not do a meeting, but you would email me the list of questions
Hmm.
that we would send them, but it is good as a group, because sometimes you have the same questions as somebody else.
I think it's a really good idea to include a template. I think it could potentially open it up to get different applicants. Because maybe there's folks out there who just aren't as well versed at applying for grants, but they have the potential to do something, but they look at that application and it's just a bear and they don't know how to handle it. I applied for a grant recently with the Oregon Birding Association and they have a budget example. I know you probably can't see.
Okay.
that, But that's kind of, yeah, a template that I think is really easy and
Ooh, yeah.
like something that, I mean, you could modify that however you want, but it's at least an example of how someone can format that.
Okay. Thank you, Anna.
And then we kind of do it with the data points. We provide them examples of this is what we're looking for in the metrics on the scorecard. So I mean, it's not like we don't provide that guidance.
Yeah.
Any,
Do we ever get any, as far as new applicants? Have we seen a trend of more new or, I mean, I'm trying to think.
Was there anybody new this past year?
The
That's what I was,
race, North Coast Land Conservancy.
Oh, that one.
Past that they had in the last couple of years.
okay, it's the segments, yeah.
They tended, they do their,
Yeah, it's depending on where the walk is.
yes,
Right, if it's coming through Cannon Beach,
then they
they ask
apply.
money, but if it's down further south or further north, they don't.
We beg them to come through Cannon Beach one more year because
Right,
it's such a nice thing. Oh, well.
Well,
Yeah, I don't think anybody new applied because, yeah, Northwest Lands Conservancy was new if you weren't here, but they were here and we gave them money the first time that they did that walk. First two times, actually.
had some come through and then get their funding and like the trails.
Yeah.
Get their funding, they're gone.
Yeah.
The chamber has asked for funding from time to time and then no funding. So we have some that cycle through.
yeah,
But true new, I think Blush Lux was probably
Yeah.
the,
that's what I was.
That's true. Good point ahead.
we had the movie festival applied for money a number of years ago. And then the comedy show is a relatively new,
Mhm.
but
Okay,
straight new.
not straight now. Yeah, I think it would be less imposing, if you were looking online for it, but here I open a can of worms. I don't. I don't know.
I mean, it's a way for us to evaluate things
Yeah,
on a consistent basis. And it's a way for them to maybe standardize the format of how they report to
Yeah.
us. I don't know. So it's just a suggestion. It's not that we
yeah,
need to do this, but it seems like we've had budget questions on a number of them.
yeah. Great.
And it could be something for next year as well.
Mhm.
Doesn't have to be for this year.
Thank you.
no, it's good suggestion.
Do you know, what the kind of money is that Bruce said he would know in March? What the amount of money he would like to pull out for the debt service? School, do we know that? He said he would know in early March.
Mhm.
Yeah, and he said he was on his way.
Oh, okay.
We're actually having a discussion with council today about the budget, the initial budget for the school too.
Okay,
So we should know more here soon.
okay.
At the 2:30 meeting.
Yes.
Another thing that I noticed on the invitation, it's pretty again, it has words that are all capitalized, which makes it seem as if it's an acronym.
Good point.
It's
Yeah.
Page 6 in the packet, the notice annual invitation for applicants.
Oh, I see where you're.
Yeah.
Okay.
I never thought.
So back to the issue of money for the school project. That was something that we had discussed with Bruce last time, but we didn't come up with an amount and we didn't approve anything.
No, we were waiting for him to give us what the amount would be, because I was saying
He's kind of,
$100,000, is it $50,000? And he's like, we don't know until we go through this.
so the conversation was around, we generally are in favor of that or support that funding possibility, but nothing was voted on, no.
Yeah.
no-
And,
I was concerned about supporting the bathroom redo
Mhm.
and whatever needed to happen with that, because I know they ran up against design review. I watched the meeting with design review where they overruled design review.
Right.
And so they're going ahead. I don't know if she needs more money for anything with regard to that, but that fits into our purview
Mhm.
anyway. Perfect timing.
I know.
Were your ears burning?
We talked when we were interviewing the applicants, asking,
Right.
would you use the school that
Last year, yeah,
last year?
all of them said they would.
All of them said they would. Is that a fee base or a free base? I mean, we didn't discuss that.
Kind of up to council, isn't it?
And we haven't discussed the management.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was just
Right.
thinking of the impact on their budgets, like,
Right.
is that,
Some of them are already paying for like, oh, Get Lit.
Be,
Yes.
Lit pays for the Surf Sand Ball.
yes,
Some people are, well, Sabre pays for Tolavana.
right,
The cottage tour doesn't pay anything for them.
Flush Lux pays for the Chamber Hall.
Lux.
Okay.
Some of their places. So some do and some don't.
gotcha.
We're wondering if you have a number for us yet. Rusty said maybe not till today. You remember you were asking for money from this committee or servicing the debt on the school?
I don't have that. What's gonna happen today is we'll talk about the costs on the Cannon Beach Elementary. Tomorrow we'll talk about the costs on City Hall. And then we'll have another meeting where we'll have a discussion about options to pay for both. So right now, I don't know what the gap is. We've already borrowed some money, we have the ability to borrow some more. But there's probably going to be a gap we got to sort out. I think definitely at the next meeting, and probably the meeting will occur within a week or two that we have with the council. And that's when we'd be able to talk about what the potential number might be.
Because you guys can't really, well, the packets aren't even due till June 1, right?
Yeah, so we've got,
We have a ways before.
yeah, June 7.
So by the time you know how much money you have to give away, you'll already know this number.
And then you guys will need to make your decision in the month of June of where you're allocating your money. Starting June 30th.
Right, yeah.
There's a big, continue on.
Yep.
The big question mark on how much it would cost to rent or do anything. I'm trying to get to the point that anybody wants to use it, they can use it. They just got to sign up before. I like to, people want to come in for meetings or whatever. The gym would be a different situation because we'll definitely have costs associated with, cleaning and, and all that kind of stuff. And it'll take more supervision. We try to limit the number of drunk people going out of the gym into the rest of the place, but
Is the kitchen going to be gym adjacent or in the gym? Because the kitchen would be a place that if you can't just let somebody use it and then not have a cleaning fee associated, or ask me how I know.
no, that's a real concern. Kind of kicked around ideas that, like, if you're going to rent a gym, your cost starts at our cleaning fee, and we will clean it up. So that, we have people that know how to clean the kitchen and all that kind of thing, not just a bunch of people that are, goodwilled, but not necessarily, you don't want to use it next necessarily after them. So we'll try to go ahead and take care of those kind of things. But the question about the management depends, I'm kind of beating my head against the desk here. Like, what do you want to do? You know, you got to be able to say what kind of, what do you want this facility to be? And we have things, and a lot of them are outside, some of them are inside. But, you know, do you want to have, like, I'd like to see that, what was it, Haystack something? What was that called?
Oh, the arts program?
The arts program from Portland.
Yeah.
From the state.
Yeah.
That'd be fabulous.
Yeah, to bring something like that back. You know, and just kind of take on the cost of whatever that might be. But I want to keep it as a low cost thing that people will use it. I think I probably said to most of you that I think the classrooms are the real game changer because there's no place to meet people to meet in like 25, 30 people. And so I think that will be, you know, that ability to do that in 3 classrooms. And we plan to make those very cool, very neat places to experience. So that it's like, well, let's come back to here. So there are a lot of questions, but you know, what do you want to do is a big one because at some point you get more sophisticated. And an example is that if the hotels want to work, you know, with the city and I'm not sure exactly who else to bring in conferences like, you know, a doctor's office conference or something, no, nothing really big. That gets more complicated if we take responsibility for pulling that together. That's you're gonna need professionals for that, and it's a higher cost. And you know, you may or may not make your money back on it because they're always going to be out trying, and so you're going to always be paying. And we also have to make sure we time that. You know, what time of the year would it be willing to come? You know, would people be willing to come? So that makes it the most complicated. The easiest is, and my dream is anybody can just come with a ball, play in the gym, you know, that kind of thing. Yes.
Weddings?
Weddings is a tough one and it's an obvious one, but it would take over the whole thing. And the gym, we're setting up the gym to be easy,
Yeah.
open out onto the property.
Yeah.
Which would be great for the wedding,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily for everybody else. So it would, and also just looking, my wife is in the flower business
Mm-hmm.
and looking at, you know, what she's talking about. If we were not up among the highest cost, and they will book all the time, all weekends and sometimes during the day, we would be booked 100% of the time for weddings.
Yes.
It become a wedding venue.
To become a wedding venue, and the question is, do we want to be a wedding venue? Because that takes the gym out totally.
Right.
And so it's what do we want to become? But
Yeah.
that's part of the question. When I say, what do you want to do? So
Yeah. I mean, that's, yes, you have to have an event director there if you go in one route.
yes,
The other is, here's the gym keys, let yourself, let yourself in.
But at the same time, aren't we dictated by using TAC funds that it needs to be a tourist draw?
yeah. And
In which case, then Nike wants to come down. I don't think you give Nike the keys without getting more than a cleaning fee because they're ready to pay and they should pay.
correct.
Okay.
And again, we don't have that answer. I mean, I would love for something like that, but not if it was so big that it would take over the site.
Right. But I will tell you that the surf stand makes very good money charging Nike to come because Nike comes down and does all their continuing education. They do a bunch of all that kind of stuff and they pay. They offered Jim and Suzanne for a glass blowing demonstration, $2,000 for, I think it was a dozen people to come in and
Yeah,
look
yeah,
for an hour.
Yeah.
And it's like, these people are made of money.
right.
They should pay,
It's not our intention to compete with the local businesses.
right?
That I would prefer not to see that. I don't think anybody's looking at doing that to try to take anybody. It's, if it's a smaller event, family reunion, that kind of thing. And, have you had a chance to see the whole presentation?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I wish you would. I forgot what day it was up. Rosie, what was the one that they did the whole thing?
I think, there's a link online, isn't
Yeah,
there?
there is.
Okay.
There is, but I went to it and I couldn't, the video didn't work. It took me to something. But anyway, we need to double check on that. But yeah, there is. And you'll see that there is a lot of things related to the tribe. We're trying to, and we're kind of splitting it. the middle lobby, if we have the chance to build it, it's going to be amazing. They're talking about on the floor having a map essentially of the Pacific Northwest, but just, kind of a blank map with all the lines, and then a blue dot. And the reason for the blue dot is blue is hard to make. And so that's what made our, the money, the beads that they would use for trade were very valuable because they were blue. And I have a blue dot with a brass plate that says it's, excuse me, Saddle Mountain, where it all started. The Ecola Village, those kind of things, but no roads. It's just, this is what it was before we got here. Those kind of things to have in. And then black and white photos from the History Center of things of the tribe, backlit as you're walking through. And then they're talking now about recovering some bark from was it cedar? Yeah, giant cedar that came down in the storm. And use that to make essentially baskets that they use for the lampshades, in the lobby and stuff. I mean, there's so much, and we're changing the material of some like colonnades that we've got going through. So you expect to see the square, but now you're going to see whole beams, pieces of, like pieces of a tree that would be in there just to go ahead and change your thought as you're walking through. And so, and a welcoming woman. We only have a welcoming man now. So we're looking possibly about having a welcoming woman as being the feature walking in. So there's a lot of things that's going to draw somebody here from history. It's going to draw from the ecology side. I think that we're in a really good position for birders to come in. There's so much stuff around here between the rock and the forest and all that. And when Jim was here, that was somebody that he said we really want to encourage. So there's things that are there to make that those kind of things happen. And those are below the threshold of doing Nike or a wedding. They could probably be fine in a 25-person, 30-person classroom or two. So, but locals, we want to not charge if we can get away with it. And Jim, be free. Pickleball, indoor pickleball. But all we have to do is put some holes in the ground for that. So that's not a big deal. But it could be part of a countywide tournament because people are, playing in Deer Heart and every place else. Well, let's go ahead and make it kind of a draw, bring in some people. And that also would take management, but I got to think that there are associations that would be able to handle that part of it for us. Any more questions? Something I can help with?
No, sounds interesting.
Questions?
A lot of work to do.
No questions.
If you get a chance, please,
21st of February.
yeah, February 21st.
Thank you.
Yeah. There's a good presentation on it, and there will be a shorter one today at 2:30. We start talking about funding and things. All right.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thanks.
Sure.
So back on the application, invitation and documents. Anybody have any other questions about it, changes? I did, I'll start with one. I've never noticed this before. And now that we're talking about the school, it sounds more appropriate, but on the guideline document, section 2, letter B, and it's what I referenced earlier. It talks about the resources, basically the money. When you spend the money, it should be used towards personnel, special events, signage, attractions, owner occupied facility development. I've never really caught that before, and I kind of wondered what if you came to me and I guess the trails somewhat were an example of that. But I'm just throwing there as a question.
Yeah.
If someone came to me and said, well, yeah, I'm going to take your $25,000, put an ad, throw a party, and then rebuild my kitchen. You know, is that? I don't know, I've never really, this.
Yeah.
This document's been around for 10 years. So just wanted to bring that up because I was curious about it.
I'll shoot Ashley an email afterwards.
Yeah.
Is that because of the cottage tour? They don't get any money. I mean, they get, the cottage tour gets money, the people who open their houses.
Yeah.
Get money.
That's a good point. I'm gonna be on the cottage tour next year.
Oh, are you?
It makes me think of the chamber with a kitchen development
Yeah.
there, that, or a chamber doors or roof or, you know, something like to that. Their facility, I know that they have facility costs associated with the upkeep of
Oh, yeah.
that building, and they've, you know, historic, well, I shouldn't say historic. In the past, they've talked about putting a commercial kitchen where they have that, you know.
That has been discussed many times.
Right.
Yeah.
And, but in my 7.5, 8 years on the chamber board, I don't remember ever using TAC funds.
Correct.
Or anything.
Right.
But didn't we discuss with Jim one time about, have you considered, I mean, because that is something that they could desperately use, like using a TAC ask to do that, because it would totally
Yeah,
fit in.
put it out by tourism and weddings and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I guess that's where it would, maybe that's why it got put in there, or that's why it is there.
Yeah. I mean, they still have to ask and we still have to recommend and the council still has to say yes. So there's a long road before somebody can do an ad for a party and get their kitchen rebuilt, that's for sure.
But it could be more than just a kitchen too. They always have stuff that's going on that needs maintenance over there. Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And there was another. And it was nitpicky, but it was a comment, I don't know, I'll have to find it again. Where it made it say like it must be the arts. Which in saying that, I'm always, you know, I'm not against the arts, I like it. I can't remember where, I'll find it. There was a comment that
Was it in the guidelines?
it was in the guidelines.
Huh,
Well, the purpose, paragraph 1, the second sentence says the proceeds must be utilized in such a manner as to contribute, and then down it goes to in the promotion of tourism and the arts. Is that where you saw that, or is it a different spot?
Might be C of section 4, the top of the next page. Guide to generate
Okay.
and the arts or the,
and promoting the arts, generating tourists and promoting the arts.
No, I mean, in most places, it sounds like a balance between the two.
Yeah.
There's one paragraph that I was reading online.
Doesn't seem so balanced.
I didn't make a note, didn't seem so balanced. And it'll pop out at me.
gosh, we've gone to city council now. I mean, I know I've spoken 3 times. When we've been asked, well, the first time, was the
Right.
first time we got asked and
Right.
it's like. You know, we serve at your pleasure. If you want to make it 100%, it has to be arts. Just say that and we'll do it. But they haven't done it
Right.
unless this has gotten, I can't imagine they've made a change without us noticing. Or being told.
And the first time that we recommended Lucci Creek, they redlined that one of all of the recommendations. That was the one that they denied.
Yep.
But then the following year, they came back. Once the organization, I can't remember the name of the
Yeah.
Trails America or
Like that.
once they had kind of addressed the concerns from the previous year, then it was approved the second year. Yeah. Well, and we were split on it as a committee too, right? We weren't unanimous that year.
No.
Yeah, I think we were tortured over that one.
That's fair. And
Tough one.
that's why we have a committee.
Yep. It's a tough one.
I don't have any other questions about the packet, since it's basically the same packet that we've used in the past. I don't have any other
Yeah.
concerns about the packet.
Okay. And any of the other, you did all the other documents, the evaluation forms and so forth in that. Do we need to approve the packet, or it is what it is, so we don't have to really do anything, right?
No, the one question would be, do you want to go ahead and try to do the form template that you have? Because what we could do is, under the end, the checklist, we could say item right, my title. The line item budget for proposed programs. Project, please use attached form, we can attach the, we use the form that they sent you,
Oh, probably, yeah.
and then we can kind of see how it works this year. Or do you want to just forego that and try it next year? So I mean.
Well, I would say not, they don't have
Attached.
at a minimum.
Yeah.
That should be the information that they provide, but some of them are gonna provide more detail.
Yeah.
Information. Right, so we don't want them to go back.
Yeah.
So what would you say, please see attached example? Or do we just wanna,
I think use this form or provide your own.
okay, or something, or similar,
And then see what they.
And kind of, to me, it sounds very similar like what we do with the data points on the scorecard.
Right,
You know, we're basically saying this is what you're gonna be asked about, so use this as a template or come up with your own, but the questions are gonna be the same.
well, I can say, please use attached form or similar.
Yeah.
Almost like. You know, or provide your own if it needs to be more extensive or some, yeah, more detailed, more extensive. So like, this is the minimum.
Or you can say, please use attached form or more detailed version,
Yes.
because that, like, this is, like you said, this is the minimum.
Yeah.
And I like doing that, but what do we want on that as the minimum?
Well, I think the form that you had, wasn't it more of a fill in the blank?
Yeah. So it has different categories. And then it has. So it has different sections underneath that category of, just spaces underneath the Excel that you can fill in places. So like it has personnel, and then there's like 4 spots to add in personnel sections, and then it has, number of hours or units that that person would be obligated to the project, the hourly rate, the funds that have already been secured, funds requested from TAC, and then the total. And so it has, this one has personnel salaries, supplies, equipment, travel, and other costs.
so we need marketing on there
Yeah.
or promotion or,
Advertising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Signage, special events.
Is personnel the same as management fee? Because management fee is the one that usually is a surprisingly large number.
Yeah.
yep.
We could do some examples and meet in April.
Yeah.
I like it on the 31st. Oh, wait, there's a,
On April 26th, if you scheduled it between April 26th and April 30th, I could be here. As I will be in Europe.
Oh,
nice,
I'm not jealous.
nice.
You know, we could just do also, please see attached example, so, just leave it as an example and then in case they need it, but
Well, none of us have seen it. So it's kind of hard to say, yeah, let's do this when we haven't all
so
looked at
you
it.
just want to go with normal and wait till next year? Or meet in April?
I'm not a huge fan of like waiting a year just because it could be, we could figure it out pretty quick, I'd imagine. Like, what do we want to see? So,
Okay.
so if we put just a little thing like, use this as an example so we don't get a vary, but to your point, you might get people that hold back some of the information that would be good to have. But on the other hand, as a committee, we're looking for these points. Like, I'm very interested in, and this is just my personal opinion, but if everyone came and said, I spent 95% of my thing on advertising with some big marketing company out of New York. Well, I think that sucked, personally. But if they said, a good portion of my budget went back into the community through hiring a local caterer or doing whatever, I would be interested in seeing that.
So an option also, one of the things we needed to schedule was a meeting to review the midterms for the 22-23 cycle. And those are due the 15th. I will be sending out a reminder today. If we have that meeting before April 5th, we could discuss this form.
And if you could like email that as a starting point, we could maybe come together and add like, okay, what's missing from that would be marketing, advertising, promotion, whatever you want to call it. And anything else we see missing.
Here we go. I'm going to forward it right now.
Okay.
Yay.
Because Anna just sent it.
Perfect.
So a budget number is one thing, a budget number and a vendor name which to your point then,
Well, wouldn't we
Yeah, too
normally
much.
ask that in the thing anyway, like who's doing your marketing? I mean, because I agree, we don't, well, just like Mike Morgan asked about the Las Vegas person, we did ask the question. And it's like, yeah, there is, the whole draw is this person is in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And so it's like, that's why I'm doing that. And we were all like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
and that went back to the yoga festival too, right? The yoga festival where
good point.
bring somebody in from around the world
Right.
to teach for a couple of days, which was the draw versus teaching for a couple.
Yeah. And versus, advertising, which, or promotion or whatever, which could probably be found in this county, for instance, as opposed to going even to Portland. But that is a question that we've asked before, I think. So it's not like we,
But I don't think we've asked for like caterer. Who's your caterer?
no, that's true.
That could be a category. It could be, vendor, like
Right.
marketing.
Well, that's why I mentioned that. Do we
Yeah.
want to have just the budget number and vendor,
Right.
supplier or whatever?
Yeah,
And a lot of times that early on, they don't know,
Mhm.
That could be possible.
The idea, I look at it as more of like, you've got 30 grand and, 75% of that is going to this. Well, where is that? What is that for? And,
right.
that seems heavy. That's what I would, if someone was to give me a preliminary budget, that's what I'd be looking for.
Right. I think it makes sense to see what Hannah has suggested or provided and us to kind of break it down and see what adjustments we want to, or edits we want to make to it.
Okay,
And it could be just like a 1-year temporary or a 1-year test.
To try, yeah.
See,
And maybe you tweak it or maybe you dump it, who knows?
And maybe nobody uses it.
Yeah. But it does,
Are you saying the packets are due on the 15th, like we're talking 2 days from now?
No, April 5th is when I post them.
Oh, okay.
So the application, this packet goes out April 5th.
That's for midterms?
No, midterms are due on the 15th.
That's 2 days from now.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Sorry, I thought you meant this.
Sorry.
And then this packet goes out April 5th. So midterms are on time. And we meet before April 5th, or we can even push this back a day or two if we need to. Since we need to meet through midterms, you can do midterms and then you can start meets. We can finalize the packet prior to April 5th.
Gotcha.
And
Okay,
we get both.
yep.
that works for me.
And then if, I honestly, as long as once we meet, we could get the packet out the next day. So I mean, if you
Yeah.
have to push back a few days, once you guys make the decision, we just update the forms like PDF and we send it out. So
Okay.
it's a really quick turnaround if you need a couple of extra time after. So you guys want to pull up your calendars?
Right. And would our new people be here then?
I'll
Do they
invite
wait?
them, but they won't be eligible until May 1st.
Okay, it's May 1st. Okay.
were they invited to today?
No, because I was out.
That's right.
And
Okay.
so they didn't, I haven't emailed them yet.
That's no excuse that they weren't here. Exactly.
So what we'll want to do is book our midterm eval / budget meeting. We also, before we send out the packet, we need to have our dates for interviews because we put that in the packet. So
Mhm.
we're going to need to set interview dates, the meeting where we're going to be reviewing all the applications that were received. So that'll be in June. And I know your guys' June gets pretty busy. Excuse myself to grab my phone.
So if the midterms are due on the 15th, would we be looking at the week of the 20th to try and get together?
You can do the week of the 20th, the week of the 27th, whatever works best for you guys. You can even do the week of the 3rd of April, as long as we have,
Fast turnaround.
that day.
Right.
So I guess it's what you guys have available the week of the 20th or 27th. And I've got the council chambers up.
I am pretty open.
So Monday, the 20th, just so you guys know, Monday, the 20th is booked. We're having a council retreat. But the rest of that week is pretty open. You guys tend to like afternoon meetings. The following week is pretty open also. So,
I'm out of town the 22nd through the 30th.
oh.
We
So
can always meet.
what do you guys think about Tuesday, March 21st?
I'm good for that day.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So at 1 p.m. And I'll send out an email also. So then when we look at June packets, the deadline for to turn in your packet is June 7th. I'll have them ready to go by June 9th. And so we need to schedule 2 days for interviews. Or actually, I was just thinking, I did community grants for so many years. I know we put the interview date in community grants. Do we put it in this packet? Because if we don't need to, we could wait to schedule those. But we'd have to have another meeting with the new applicants or the new committee members.
Mhm.
It does have applicant interviews will be held June 20th and 21st.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah, here it is. Flip the next page. So yeah, we do want to have that set. So this is due, we'll have it ready to you by June 9th. You guys probably want a few days to look at it, so we can look, that following week, the week of June 20th, we have several spots open. I don't, yeah.
What day is the? Tuesday is the 20th of that week.
Yep.
And that is, farmer's market will be going by then, won't it? Is my guess.
Oh,
Mhm.
14th, I think, or 20.
The 13th or 20th, one of those.
Yeah,
yeah, so Tuesdays will be out. Wait, what Tuesday or Wednesday?
That's Tuesday.
We want to avoid a Tuesday unless you do morning.
don't call me as true.
No, you want to avoid that Tuesday completely.
We can do
All
Wednesday,
possible.
Thursday, 21st, 22nd.
13th is when it starts.
Okay,
Okay,
Gotta get that on the calendar.
21st, 22nd, or 19th and 21st,
yep, we're 19th and 21st.
That's a Monday, Wednesday.
Monday, Wednesday.
Well, 19th is Juneteenth, isn't that a holiday?
We don't have that as a holiday.
Oh, okay.
Not federal.
So 19th and 21st, or 21st and 22nd, whatever. Committee prefers. Either one of those works for me.
I could do either, split or together.
I can probably do both.
I'd like to do them back to back, just because when people read it, if they're not like, they'll read 21st or 22nd, otherwise they just tend to read 19th and then they forget the 21st is like not the next day.
Okay, that makes sense.
Can we do 21st,
Sure.
22nd?
Sure.
Okay, and then plus written mode.
Yeah, and give some continuity to it a little bit.
And we just did one day last year.
We
Yeah,
did get them
not
in.
very many, so we were able to
Yeah.
squeeze them all in one day. So,
So based on,
yeah, I don't know, do you want less or more? It's kind of like.
I know.
At least we have that as a potential. So
Yeah.
our interviews will be the 21st and 22nd. We need to have our recommendation ready by June 30th. So if you guys want to meet the following week,
Is that time on the 21st to be determined?
let's go 1 to 4. Or is that good?
On
Good,
the floor.
good to start as a
Yeah.
block, yeah.
Tell the new people to get that on their calendars.
Mhm.
Tracy's listening in. I got a text from.
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
And I have an email I usually send out, welcome You know, and then I'll give them all the dates, let them know they're welcome to attend these meetings. I think Hannah, you did that. You attended some of them.
Yeah.
Before you came on, so let them know all of this is coming up and these are the dates still on too. And Zoom is always an option, so. Okay, so the week of the 26th, this would be when you guys are making your recommendations.
And Hannah, are you out that week?
In June?
Mm-hmm.
No, I should be here.
You're here. Okay.
And
Anything but Tuesday for me. Monday or Wednesday would be preferred. That week,
I would lean Monday for me, but
the 26th.
yeah.
okay, so 6/26 at 1 p.m.
Yep.
That, oh, that's June, never mind. Good.
All right. We could, well, let's wait to schedule the elastic meeting. It would be after August anyways, because we'll have the new members there. At least this
Yeah.
is going.
That's 1 o'clock as well.
Yes.
Okay.
And what, I'm sorry, I'm catching up on the calendar. What was the 26th meeting? That was
The recommendations.
recommendations.
Yep.
And that I have to make sure Ashley's available for that as well.
Yeah.
Okay. We did the calendaring. Any other items or go to the order? Comments? Once, twice, nothing for today. Then unless there's anything else, we'll go ahead and call this meeting adjourned at 1:50.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.